Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Insightful Leader Live webinar. It has been way too long, so it's great to be back. I'm Jess Love, Editor-in-Chief of Kellogg Insight, and today we're going to be hearing from Professor Angela Lee. She's going to talk to us all about consumer psychology. But before I introduce her, I want to plug our December webinar with Professor Hatim Rahman. Professor Rahman studies artificial intelligence and the future of work. So he's going to be talking all about AI with us, what is real, what is hype, and what we should all know. That webinar will be on Thursday, December 7th at noon. So if you're interested, we can stick around. You can stick around after today's webinar, and we're going to drop a registration link in the chat, or you can find it on our site. And we'll include a link in our email that we'll send you tomorrow that includes a video of today's presentation. So before we dive in, a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to close the chat box soon, so you can leave your questions for Professor Lee in the Q&A box. We're hoping to have some time at the end to get to some of those questions. Closed captioning is available. You can access it via live transcript at the bottom of the screen. And this event will be recorded. That email that's going to come to you in your inbox will include a link to a video of this presentation. So, without further ado, how often do you consider your customer's mindset? Today, Professor Lee will walk us through some of the lesser-known findings from consumer psychology and really help us understand some of the motivations that underlie human behavior. Angela Lee is a professor of marketing and the faculty director of the Golub Capital Social Impact Lab at Kellogg. She's a consumer psychologist whose research focuses on how consumers make decisions, what motivates them, and how to affect behavioral change. So welcome, Professor Lee.
Thank you, Jess. Hello, everybody from all over the world. It's great to be here with you. So today I'm going to share with you some of the insights about mindsets. So I'm going to share my screen. So knowing your customer's mindset. So the idea is, the first question, of course, what is a mindset? So if you look up the dictionary or you look on Google, it is a habitual mental state that determines how you interpret and respond to situations. So I'm sure all of you know someone that you think, oh, this person has a can-do attitude, or they have an entrepreneurial spirit, or they always play the blame game. So these are what we call mindsets that prompt people to behave and talk about things and interpret situations and make decisions in a particular way that we think is fairly predictable. So mindsets, we all have it. It's really about not what you're thinking, but it's about how you're thinking about the situation or current information that is coming to you. And that influences how you then take the next step. Now, some of you may have heard about people having a fixed mindset or an incremental or growth mindset. So a fixed mindset are people who believe that whatever we can do, our abilities, our performance is based on some innate abilities. So it's fixed. So if we're born with this high intelligence or low intelligence, and that's how things are, and that will dictate how we're going to succeed in life or not. And those who believe in, instead of a fixed mindset, an incremental mindset or a growth mindset, thinks that no, we are born with certain abilities, but we can improve, we can change, and we can keep growing. Now, these two mindsets are really important in education. If students or teachers or professors believe that the students have a growth mindset, that means they can improve, they can learn. And students think that they have a fixed mindset, will think that, well, what's the point of putting in a lot of effort? I am who I am, I'm just born with it. So you can see whether someone has a growth or a fixed mindset, or whether we think people have, in general, a growth or fixed mindset, is going to influence how we treat them or how we treat ourselves. So this idea of a growth and fixed mindset is important in education. It's also important in organization when people talk about leadership. How do we motivate employees, or how do we think, can someone be trained? Now, in marketing, there are other mindsets that may be also more relevant rather than fix and growth. And I'm going to show you a few examples. There is what we call a comparison or which to choose mindset. There is the agreeing or disagreeing mindset. Someone may call them a bolstering or counter-arguing mindset. And then there is also a mindset of not having enough. There are people who constantly worry about not having enough. Now, I want to show you how these different mindsets come about. So researchers have shown that when we ask people to make a decision between two options, for example, which fly faster, dragonflies or butterflies? So you make a decision, and which one is faster? A next question may be, well, which one is bigger, the rhino or the monkey? Or you may be asked, which one is taller, the giraffe or the hippo? Now, as people make a series of these comparisons, and then now you say, okay, I'm finished, I'm done with asking your questions, let's go shopping. And how interested would you be in buying some chocolates? And what the researchers have found is that those who engaged in making comparison were more likely to make a choice, to more likely to purchase one of the chocolates that were presented to them, as opposed to if they were not interested or not asked to make comparisons. The baseline was 37.5% compared to now 52.5%. So why is that? Why is a comparison mindset prompts more purchase likelihood? That is because usually when we make a purchase decision, we first think about, should I buy or not? If we decide to buy some chocolates, the next thing we do is, well, which chocolate should I buy? Should I go with Harry and David or Ferrero Rocher or Godiva? Now, when people are put into a comparison mindset, what happens is they're very used to now making choices. So when they were presented with an array of different options, chocolates in this case, they have already skipped the step, should I buy chocolates or not? They are already in the stage of, which one should I buy? And that is why making comparisons prior to a consumption decision is more likely to make these consumers to make a purchase of chocolates. So marketers out there, if you want people to make a purchase, it may be useful to put them in a comparison mindset. Another example is a bolstering versus counter-arguing mindset. So what happens, the researchers presented some statements and they collected data using college students. And they said, well, tell us what do you think about these statements and give us your thoughts. Now, these statements were likely to generate agreeing statements, right? Thoughts that agree with, yes, reading enriches the mind. And how does it do that? And yes, universities should not raise tuition. So they keep thinking about all the things that will bolster certain arguments, as opposed to you give them something that you know that they're not going to agree with. Reading is bad for the mind, or university should raise tuition. And when they get into this counter-arguing mindset, interesting things happen, because on a completely unrelated to reading and unrelated to tuition, and now they're asked, well, what do you think about these potential vacation destination? And in some cases, the participants in the research were presented with the the ice igloo hotel in Switzerland, or they were presented with information and pictures about the art museum in Milwaukee. And what they found was, compared to people who were not given any opportunity to argue or counter-argue, the control condition is lower than the bolstering condition, even though they think, yes, these are really attractive, but it's not as attractive as if they had been in an agreeing mindset. But look at the disagreeing mindset, those people who started counter-arguing. Even though now the museum or the igloo hotel has nothing to do with whatever they were counter-arguing, they also like it less. So think about, there are so many things in the news nowadays that prompt people to either agree or disagree, and it has a profound influence on the decision they're going to make when they have to make a consumption decision, a vacation decision, or any other decisions. Now, a third example I want to share with you is a emptying. Oh, before I do that, this is a really interesting example. How many of you would like to try scorpions and starfish? Very exotic foods. And what we have found is that the bolstering mindset, agreeing mindset, makes people even more adventurous to even try these exotic food options, as compared to people who are in a disagreeing or in a control condition. So you can see how mindsets can really help, you sell or unsell something. So the third mindset I wanted to share with you as an example is, now every day when we go home, what do? We, especially if we're in Chicago, it's getting cold, we're going to be wearing a coat. And one of the things that we do as soon as we walk into into our house or into the office, we take off our coat, we empty the pockets. So we take out the wallet, we take out, tissues, we take out our car keys, or sometimes we may be engaging in emptying a water bottle. Or if you come back from a trip, you unpack and you empty your carry-on or your suitcase. So what do all these actions do? These emptying pockets and emptying the water bottle and unpacking prompts a mindset of, I don't have enough. I'm depleting things. And when that happens, we found that after this emptying action, people are in this emptying mindset, they are more likely to consume snacks, and they give fewer donation dollars because they're trying to be conserving their resources and they're trying to replenish. So they accumulate more things for themselves, they buy more things, they eat more snacks, and now you're asking them to kind of share their resources, make a donation. They are less likely to be as generous as if they had been filling water bottles, or they had been filling their pockets, or they had been packing instead of unpacking. So you can see that mindsets can be really powerful, right? Now, mindsets can be momentary, as what I have just shown you, just by asking people to make comparisons, asking people to think about, what they agree on or disagree on, or, either they are emptying their pockets or unpacking, or they are packing, or they're putting things into their pocket. These are fairly momentary, and yet we see those effects. But mindsets can also be chronic, meaning that it's kind of with us, all the time. That is why early on I asked, do you know anyone who has a can-do attitude? Do you know anyone who is, an eternal optimist or an eternal pessimist? So these mindsets are fairly chronic. Now, we talk about a mindset as being induced by past experiences. This is what we've been doing in the last few minutes, or it may be something that we have been doing for over the last few months, last few years, or maybe our entire lifetime. So mindsets can be induced by the environment that we live in. It can be influenced by our culture, the social norms, our beliefs, as well as our upbringing. And I want to share with you two examples of chronic mindsets that I have found as a marketing researcher, as a consumer psychologist, to be really, really powerful and has huge implications for marketers. And these chronic mindsets became chronic because they are part of the basic needs that we try to satisfy. Now, most of you may have seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs diagram. It looks something like this. At the bottom are our basic needs. What do we need in order to survive? So first, we need food that serves our nutrients needs. And then we also need to not be food. We have our safety and security needs. And these are really the fundamental needs that we all share. And fortunately, we do have right now. And then as we move up to the hierarchy of Maslow's pyramid, then we came to the self-identity needs, the self-actualization, fulfillment, and accomplishment. So one would think that, well, we're already kind of past the basic level. How do these basic needs actually affect us? And what I'm going to impress on you is that these basic fundamental needs never really leave us. Even though we do have a roof on our heads and we do have food on the table, they need to feel nurtured, to grow, and they need to feel safe and have security. They never leave us, and they in turn give rise to two different mindsets. To satisfy our nurturing needs, we get into a promotion mindset. And for those who really care more about security needs, it cultivates a prevention mindset. Now, you may ask, Angela, you just told us that these are our fundamental basic needs in order to survive. Why are you putting them into two distinct buckets? And I'm doing that is because even though we need both to survive, at any one time, we can only execute on one rather than both. Because if we want to go and look for food, we have to go out of our cave and we have to look for food. And if we want to be safe, we have to stay inside our cave and we can't go out. So even though we need both, it pulls us into opposite directions. Now, this is why we have some people who are more predominantly have a promotion mindset, and we have those who predominantly have a prevention mindset, even though, temporarily we may switch over. But some of these mindsets kind of stay with us, and that influences how we interpret life, situation, and how we decide how we're going to act. Now, these promotion and prevention mindsets, in turn, guide our attention and our attitudes and our behaviors, even when these fundamental needs of nurturance and safety are being met. Now, let me give you a little bit more insight. People with a promotion mindset dominant, these people are more sensitive to positive outcomes. So now, of course, we all want good things in life and we don't want bad things in life. But for people with a promotion mindset, good things in life means the presence of good things. And bad things in life means the absence of good things. So they're sensitive to positive outcomes, and they approach positive outcomes and they avoid the absence of positive outcomes. And most of the time, what they're looking for is, how do I accomplish my goals that will satisfy my ideals, my hopes and aspirations? On the other hand, those with a prevention mindset are really into safety and security, and they focus on negative outcomes in the sense that they approach the absence of negative outcomes and they avoid negative outcomes, right? So you can see that promotion and prevention mindset have their own separate approach avoidance system. One approaches positive outcomes and the other approaches the absence of negative outcomes, right? And for people with a predominant prevention mindset, most of the time they focus on, how do I fulfill my duties, my obligations, my responsibilities, rather than looking at, how do I, achieve my hopes and aspiration, right? So one is, what do I want to do? And the other is, what do I think I should do? So very different mindset that drives very different behaviors. Now, how do mindsets affect consumption decisions? So think about, we're looking at a beautiful red Tesla Model S. Now, you may ask, well, is someone with a promotion mindset or prevention mindset more likely to get this car? And my answer is, we don't know, because both may be appealing to, may find this car appealing. Now, you may think that, well, promotion mindset, they may be more into kind of having fun, so the red color, and the prevention mindset consumers may actually go for the gray color. But if you actually know a little bit more about resale value, you would know that the red car holds on to the resale value a lot more than the gray car. And so if you're into prevention mindset, that you may want to hold on to resale value, then you may choose the red car, right? So lots of different reasons to make predictions. And you may have someone with a promotion mindset or prevention mindset, both end up buying the car. But what I can really tell you is, when they make the decisions, they make their decisions based on very different criteria and attributes. For example, the promotion mindset consumers will be more interested in admiring and enjoying the instant acceleration, the infotainment center that give you access to TikTok and Hulu and Netflix. Whereas, while these are nice, but to the consumers with a prevention mindset, they're thinking about, well, this is a low maintenance car because we don't even have this kind of gas combustion engine. I don't have to go and look for gas anymore. There are 8 cameras that will allow me to really see the environment, to look out for hazards. So the kind of attributes that they look at are very different. So people with a promotion mindset, as I mentioned earlier, they strive towards accomplishing growth and ideals, and their fear is, I don't want to miss out. So they're more likely to try many different things and are very open to different things. And they said, okay, if something doesn't work, something else will be working. So it's really important that I max out on all opportunities. And when they think about, why do I want to do certain things, they think more further ahead into the future. It's really about growth. So they look further ahead. Compared to people with a prevention mindset, these consumers, if they are striving towards safety and security, you know that I'm going to look at my immediate environment, the here and now, to make sure that if there is a pothole, I don't step into it. So they guard against taking a misstep. I don't want to make the wrong move. I'm okay not trying out so many different things because, I'm going to go with the tried and true and stay with it so that I don't get into any trouble. All right. So you can see promotion mindset, prevention mindset, very, very different outcomes and very different process. So marketers are smart and they know that these people exist. And so it's almost like, yes, there is a product for every mindset that we can come up with. So skincare for the ladies, right? We have dark spot correcting cream. We're going to actually get rid of a problem that you don't like. Or there is a perfectionist serum to make you more beautiful. There are those who say, yes, I'm going to splurge $3,000 on a QLED TV by Samsung so I can have all my friends over. We can watch Super Bowl or some other games. And then there are those who say, well, instead of spending thousands of dollars, I'm going to actually put that money into a home security system so that I can actually really monitor wherever I am, every corner of my house, right? So you can see marketers know different people want different things. So, but what dictates the consumer's mindset? As I mentioned, there are people who are more promotion oriented and there are those who are more prevention oriented. Now, the mindset, some of the examples I showed you earlier, as you could see, is really temporarily induced. If I ask you which one flies faster, the butterfly or the dragonfly, right? So that is a context dependent. Product category will be something that prompts us. No one is going to actually go look for a home security system with a promotion mindset, right? And so sometimes, whether we become more promotion oriented or prevention oriented depends on the product category. Sometimes it is prompted by what is in the message. If the message is asking us to think about, care about your future health, and right away we're going to be taken further into the future, and then we're going to be thinking about more of the positive outcomes, as opposed to kind of, are you worried about clogged arteries? Then all of a sudden we're thinking about the negative and we become more prevention oriented, right? Now, the mindset is also consumer centric in the sense that we have our own personality and we have our own chronic disposition to be more growth oriented or more security oriented. Another concept that also allows us to actually know whether someone's more likely to be promotion or prevention is how do they think of themselves? And we call it a self-view. Do they have an independent self-view or do they have an interdependent self-view? Meaning, do they see themselves as an independent individual, kind of I have full autonomy or in terms of what I want and how I go about doing things? Or do they think of themselves as a more interdependent, part of a larger social collective, that I belong to a group, or I'm a faculty at Kellogg, or you are a Kellogg alum, and so you define yourself as part of a collective. Are you doing this on your own, or do you have a team? That makes a difference. What we have found is people with an independent self-view are more likely to have a promotion mindset, and those who have an interdependent self-view are more likely to have a prevention mindset, which then takes us to some cultural differences. There are cultures who are more collectivistic, such as Japanese, Koreans, the Southeast Asians, and there are cultures who are more individualistic, such as most of the English-speaking countries, as well as Europe. And so we have some kind of a inkling in terms of whether they're going to be more likely to be promotion or prevention. So let me give you an example. How does a product category could prime a promotion or prevention mindset? So what we have found from research is when people are thinking about stocks in a trading account, they are more promotion oriented compared to mutual funds in a retirement account. Then all of a sudden, these are the same investors and they become more prevention oriented. And let me show you some data. So in this particular research study, the researchers asked people to imagine they have $5,400 available and there is an investment opportunity. And the opportunity is either you have 85% chance of making 12%, but there is also a slight downside, a 15% chance of losing 4.5%. Another group of research respondents were told you have a chance of making more money, 24%, with the same 15% chance of losing 4.5%. And a third group of making 12%, but have a 15% chance of losing 13.5%. So if the first condition is the baseline, then we have a condition of greater gains and a condition of greater losses. And these researchers then compare how do people react to these opportunities? And what they have found was the baseline and the greater losses did not differ, but the intention to invest in this particular opportunity was much higher when they were given a greater gains opportunity. And so the stocks, as we can see from the data, induces this promotion mindset. They are more sensitive to gains. Now, the same researchers then also turn around and offer the same opportunities, the same conditions, but this time instead of a stock in a trading account, it's a mutual fund in an IRA. And what they found was the baseline and the greater gains condition did not differ, but these investors were less likely, much less likely to invest when it was an opportunity with the greater losses. So you can see that with a mutual fund, the prevention mindset kicks in because they're more sensitive to losses, as opposed to when it was in a stock situation and they were more sensitive to gains. So you can see even the product category, whether it's stocks versus mutual funds, prompted either a promotion or prevention mindset. So the message that will be really on point for marketers is to actually look for messaging that matches the mindset. So a promotion mindset consumer, as I mentioned earlier, are those who are more likely to have an independent self-view, and they care more about growth opportunities, positive outcomes, and things that happen far into the future, compared to those with a prevention mindset, are more likely to have an interdependent view of the self. And what will really be of interest to them, what they pay attention to, is detailed steps for any hedging opportunities. So they're not looking for growth, not looking for aspirations, but they want to know in detail how I'm going to do things. And they want to avoid negative outcomes, and they pay attention to what is happening now. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to show you how do we make things happen for people with an independent or interdependent self-view. Now, I'm going to show you examples that in a tennis tournament or a company selling tennis racket, and they have different headlines. The headlines were either, with this, the star tennis rackets, you will win, or your team will win, as opposed to you won't lose, or your team won't lose. So we now have 4 different conditions that the researchers tested, and what they found was, if it is you will win, it's better than your team will win, but your team won't lose is more persuasive then you won't lose. So you can see there is a matching of what I mentioned earlier in terms of the self-view. When it's you, the blue bars, independent self-view, they look for winning opportunities. But when it is a interdependent self-view, the team's perspective, and now they're in a prevention mindset, you can see the not losing, you won't lose, is more compelling than you will win, right? Another example that I want to show you is, here is Welch's grape juice, and they're trying to figure out what would be a good targeting strategy and what would be a good positioning strategy. Now, the positioning strategy is they can say, well, it's energizing, it's fun to drink, it's delicious, or they can focus on the health aspect, which is it's healthy to drink, it reduces risk of cancer, it promotes a healthy heart. So two very different positioning strategy. And they also have two potential targets. They can either target young adults or they target families. Now, if you remember what I just showed you earlier, there is the independent self-view that will really be consistent with the young adult, or the interdependent self-view when we remind them that they are making decisions for a family or they have responsibility towards a family. And as you can imagine, a website that either focuses on give yourself a chance at great taste on the left versus give your family a chance at great taste on the right. And you can either talk about creating more energy, it is fun to drink, or it has antioxidants and all kinds of good stuff that will create or contribute to healthy cardiovascular functioning and reduce risk of cancers. You can see that in terms of the website evaluation, when it's give yourself a chance at great taste, greater energy works better than preventing cancer. But when it's give your family a chance at great taste, it is the preventing cancer, the getting rid of negative things, that is better than, greater energy. I suppose if you have a family and you have two young kids, you may not want them to be so energized running around, right? So the researchers show that even after 2 weeks presenting them with the information, and they went back and surveyed the attitudes toward Welch's grape juice, you can see the similar pattern kind of persisted. So when you want to talk about energy and individual targeting, when you want to talk about cardiovascular functioning and reduce cancer, then it is a family targeting. These strategies, this combination of targeting positioning strategy is really what works. Another example, if you remember what we went through the two and a half pandemic years, in the earlier days, before we had vaccines, the CDC recommendation was stay home, wash your hands, when you sneeze, cover your mouth and nose, right? And clean and disinfectant services. Now, and they were getting, different levels of compliance. So in those days, because we didn't have the vaccine, we really need to be social distancing. Everybody was saying, stay home. Now, some government officials would say, stay home, stay healthy. And others will say, stay home, stay safe. Now, so which version is going to be more effective? So the research that we did here at Kellogg is we showed people 4 different taglines: keep you safe from the coronavirus, or keep America safe from the coronavirus, help you stay healthy, or help America stay healthy. All right. So you can think about, one is about safety, stay away from the virus, and the other is being healthy. So one is promoting positive health conditions, and the other is keeping us safe from the coronavirus. And then we also have two different positioning. Our targeting is keep you safe or keep America safe. Help you stay healthy or help America stay healthy. And if you remember what we covered just 5 minutes ago, you know you expected, and indeed, this is what we found. When it is keeping safe, is keep America safe is definitely more persuasive, and keeping helping you stay healthy is more effective than helping America stay healthy. We collected data on March 18th, 2020. I remember March 13th was the day that we received the email from Dean Francesca Connelly to pack up your office and go home, right? And so we collected the data the week afterwards, intention to social distance, and then another 10 days passed, we collected another survey, again with a tagline, help you stay healthy, keep America safe, were the winning headlines because people were less likely to say, yes, I plan to leave home for these various reasons, right? So you can see, knowing the mindset and matching the message to the mindset is really useful. Promotion focus ads will be more abstract as opposed to a prevention ad that focus on features. I want to show you two ads that I really like that kind of demonstrates sometimes it appeals to people with a promotion mindset, and sometimes an ad for the same product can appeal to a prevention mindset.
Imagine a future where one day machine learning will give you the power to track your sleep. Imagine.
Excuse me, ma'am?
Yes? Can I help you?
Yeah, this already does that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
Okay, let's try this again. It's all right, I'll start again. Imagine one day a tiny device with an optical sensor will send you an alert if your heart rate is too low. Yes? What? It already does that. What? Oh, okay. Well, how about we'll send you an alert if your heart rate is too high?
It already does that!
All right, let's try something new. We'll send you an alert if you're someplace that's too loud.
I just received one of those alerts.
Really? Well, you should probably find a quieter place, sir.
You should probably mind your own business.
Ugh. Okay, imagine one day in the future.
Hold on.
No, let me finish.
1 second.
You'll be able to take an ECG.
It already does that.
It already does that.
I heard that.
Good. What about continuously track your elevation? Does it do that?
Does that.
Right, got it.
Does that.
Thank you.
Does that.
Yep, heard it the first time. Encourages you to stay fit.
Does that.
Okay, I get it. You're fit. I don't know. Will it automatically call 911 if a bear chases you off a cliff and you take a hard fall?
Yeah, already does that.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
You gotta be kidding me. Okay. I got it. Let's go from the top. Imagine a day, a future. Imagine a future. One day, tiny device, blah, 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 that uses red and infrared light to measure your blood oxygen level. Yes? What? No. Don't you dare say it. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Very cute. Well, that was fun.
So that was the future of health, right? And it has infinite possibilities. But let me show you another ad.
Querida Apple.
Привет, Apple.
Dear Tim.
尊敬的 Apple 公司。
Hello, Mr. Cook.
Вам пишет Киборг.
I know you may never read this, but I just wanted to put it out there.
I live in Massachusetts.
I'm a country boy from small town Mississippi.
I'm a two-time Olympian.
Eu sou bailarino.
我是一个盲人跑者。
I'm the father of a 9-year-old.
I am a 99-year-old world traveler.
Every day for the last 2.5 years, I have worn this tiny computer on my wrist.
This is the first time I've worn a watch since my bar mitzvah.
I was a scrawny, sports-hating kid who never really liked being active.
I was coming back from a knee surgery.
While I was never fat, I was the proud owner of a dad bod.
I fell into a deep depression and weighed 250 pounds.
Теперь каждый день я стремлюсь закрыть все кольца активности.
Now I get up at 5 a.m.
If it's 5 minutes to midnight, I'll do push-ups in my bedroom. I'll take the dog out for a really quick walk around the block.
I walk around the house and my family thinks I'm a little crazy.
I dutifully oblige when the Apple Watch reminds me to stand up every hour.
С Apple Watch я становлюсь лучшей версией себя.
I ran my first Spartan race in December and ran a full marathon in February.
Agora eu consigo checar em como meu corpo está respondendo a múltiplos ensaios.
至今 Apple Watch 在我跑步时给了我很多的帮助与支持。
Dear Mr. Cook, our daughter was recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
My car rolled over 3 times and my phone landed far out of my reach. Once I collected my thoughts, I remembered my Apple Watch had the SOS feature.
After being rushed to the emergency room, I was diagnosed with a condition that was causing my liver, kidneys, and heart to start shutting down.
The integration of her glucose monitor with the Apple Watch lets us make sure her blood sugars don't go to dangerously low levels.
For 6 minutes, I hung there in my car talking to a dispatcher until help arrived.
Had I not been wearing my Apple Watch, I never would have sought medical attention, which in turn saved my life. Sincerely, Paul.
Thank you so much for creating something that does not make me feel old.
Thanks for listening. Avi.
Sincerely, Stuart.
祝维华敬上。
All the best, Kara.
Sincerely,
Jill.
Casey.
С благодарностью, Дмитрий.
Muito obrigado, Giovanni.
I really like both ads. One is about possibilities and looking into the future, and the other is resilience and solving a problem. I'm going to end with another example to show some cultural differences. In the US, we may see signs like this, 40% off, big sale. Now you may say, Angela, 40% off is not a big sale. It's just an example, so bear with me. I want to show you that, but a similar sign in Hong Kong will say this, which is in Chinese, but it literally translates to pay 60%, big sale. So you can think about a promotion mindset focuses on what we don't have to pay, what is the discount, and the prevention mindset says what still hurts, what still has to come out from your pocket. So the key takeaway I want you to actually have is mindsets have profound effects on consumer decisions. It can be momentarily induced, but it can also be chronically inclined. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. That was fascinating. I since becoming familiar with your work, I have started noticing it in advertisements. For instance, I listened to a PSA just this morning and it was talking about, preventative care. And of course, you might think about that as being very, oh no, we don't, we want to be very safe, but the way they framed it was like, give yourself, early detection is going to give you that fighting chance. And they were very obviously going, being familiar with your work, it was clear for me to be able to see kind of the move that they were trying to make in terms of taking someone who might be less inclined to get preventative care and turn it into kind of an opportunity to get preventative care, which was very clever.
So to add on to that, Jazz, most people who don't want to get a flu shot, it's hard to persuade them, right? Because in their mind, I don't want to. So what I have seen, some really clever ads is to actually prompt them to do it for other people. Because when they think about their family members, so it is about, telling grandma or grandpa that, if you do this, you're doing it for your grandkids who needed your protection. And then right away, they said, oh, if I'm seeing my grandchild on Tuesday, I better go get my flu shot. So then it also creates right away, here's what you can do. And these are the reasons why. Do it for other people and not for yourself.
So we have a number of questions. We're going to try to get to a number of them before we break in about 10 minutes. I had an interesting question about B2B buyers. So we talked a lot about individual consumers, and I'm curious, do you know anything or are you aware of any research that looks at B2B customers?
Yes, the research really speaks to the same. So first of all, B2B, the person making the decision is still a person. So the person still has a promotion or prevention mindset. And so a lot of what I talked about will apply. And typically, they will also think about, since they are, B2B, they may not be the users, but they will be thinking about the users, so they may be more likely to be in a prevention mindset. But here I would also like to suggest there is a cultural difference, because we can think about, let's say in some negotiation or some mergers and acquisition, you can definitely say, go to a potential partner and say, well, let's go and rule the world and corner the market, right? That is a growth mindset, and that will work if you're talking to someone who has a promotion mindset, as opposed to someone who is kind of very more kind of conservative, and they may be more prevention oriented. And now you have to say, instead of we're going to corner the market, you say, well, we won't fall behind the market, and this is a great hedging opportunity. So yes, it works in B2B setting.
We had a couple of questions about whether there is a mindset that makes customers particularly susceptible to X or Y. So I'm going to give you a couple of those and see if anything comes to mind. One of those was luxury. Is there any sort of mindset that makes people more inclined to either think of something as luxurious or potentially pull the trigger on a luxury item?
Luxury consumption, most of the time we think about it as more hedonic. So you have to put people in a mindset that they are worth it. So a promotion mindset is more inducive to getting people interested in luxury items compared to a prevention mindset. And now it's also interesting, when people feeling jealous, they are also more likely to consume luxury.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So along those lines, is there a mindset that maybe makes people more inclined toward brand loyalty?
The mindset is not so much about brand loyalty, but it is about I think what will help is, how do you make people identify with the brand? So when the brand becomes part of their identity. Now, is there a particular mindset that will actually prompt more, we call it a self-brand connection? No, but the mindset or the features or the characteristics of the brand that matches what the person is or what that person aspires to be is more likely to make this person a loyal customer. Now, when we talk about loyalty, there are two kinds of loyalty. There is what we call the satisfied loyals. They're happy with the brand. Now, of course, there is also a third kind, which is really habit. You're just convenient. I'm keep buying you, not because I have any emotions towards you. So, and we're not talking about those. We're talking about those who are satisfied. Now, certain brands like Betty Crocker, people are satisfied with it. Band-Aid, people are satisfied with it. But people are not what we call committed, meaning it's not something that they can't live without you, right? The committed loyals are people who will defend you if you get some negative comments on social media. So brands that could induce this commitment are brands that bonds with the consumer, that make them into, that is really playing into the same personality. We talk about brand personality, we talk about people personality, and if the personality match, they're more likely to be able to get them.
So a couple of questions here that are very pertaining to kind of brass tacks. So one is, is there a simple way to assess somebody's mindset? Like, I think you as a researcher probably have tools that a lot of marketers don't have. So are there any kind of back of the hand heuristics? And then similarly, is there any way to sort of track how that might be changing over time?
Yes, there are very simple questions that could be useful. It really depends on what are the opportunities. It could really be, what bothers you more, feeling sad or feeling anxious, right? People who feel sad and it bothers them more than feeling anxious, sadness is a promotion mindset emotion. Excitement, sadness, disappointment, these are promotion emotions, whereas peacefulness, calmness, and anxiety are prevention emotion. And so if you can, see, whether I mentioned earlier, would you like to do things do you typically do things that you want to do, or do you typically do things that you should do? And you can, depending on how they respond, you can almost kind of roughly categorize them as having more a promotion mindset or prevention mindset. But the examples that I showed, I hope to convey the message to marketers is you have in your hands the tools to temporarily induce a promotion or prevention mindset, right? If you prompt people to think about retirement, prevention mindset. If you talk about the future, promotion mindset. And what we have found was, I had some research looking at political campaigns. And what we found was a year from election, candidates that talk about why we do things, and this is why, and all the benefits and high level abstract whys, that is more compelling and people are more likely to support the candidate. But as we get closer to election, and we are now talking about next week and 2 weeks, then it's really, now this is how I'm going to actually bring the country forward, rather than, hope is in our future. So talking about the hows and talking about now, that message is more compelling. So you can see the situation is really useful. Knowing what situation and the timing and what language you can use can prompt you to induce a promotion or prevention mindset.
So we're getting pretty tight on time here, but this is such an interesting question. I'm so curious. Do you see mindsets as applicable to how services are designed, or potentially the kind of customer service experience?
Yes. If you think about, I'm going to use hotels, right? Even with hotels, when people check in, they're looking for a wonderful stay, right? And so greeting them with all the promotion mindset language is going to make them feel welcome. They're going to have a good time. They're going to enjoy it. But upon checkout, they're talking to the cashier. They're looking at the bill. They have a prevention mindset. And so you want to make sure that they feel they're not being cheated. Everything is on point. And that is actually how you can, at 2 stages of the customer experience journey, when they check in versus when they check out, you can benefit from knowing that what kind of mindset they are in, and kind of train your staff that way, and react and interact with your customers that way.
Fascinating. Well, we are just about at time, so I think I'm going to call it. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today about all of these fascinating psych studies. And thanks to our audience for great questions, as usual. Please join us in just a few weeks on December 7th to hear about artificial intelligence and the future of work. And yeah, there's a link right there. You can actually sign up. Hope you do. All right. Well, thank you so much and take care.